Beyond the dragons, the White Walkers, and the political backstabbing, Game of Thrones was a masterclass in military strategy. Forget the fantasy for a moment. The battles that decided the fate of the Seven Kingdoms were fought with steel, wit, and tactics so realistic they could be pulled from a history textbook. Who do you think was the greatest general in the series? Was it Robb Stark, Tywin Lannister, Daenerys? Let's start with a fan favorite, the Battle of the Bastards. This wasn't just a clash of armies. It was a clash of minds. Ramsay Bolton was a master of psychological warfare. He chose the battlefield carefully. Open ground where his cavalry could dominate and his archers had clear lines of sight. That pile of bodies, it wasn't just for shock value. It was a gruesome tactical barrier designed to funnel Jon's forces into a kill box. He knew Jon was honorable and emotional, and he exploited that perfectly by sacrificing Rickon Stark, goading Jon into a premature, disastrous charge. Jon Snow, for all his bravery, fell right into the trap. His plan, if you can call it that, evaporated the second he saw his brother in danger. He abandoned the high ground, abandoned his strategy, and led his men into a slaughter. His wildlings were fierce but undisciplined, no match for Ramsay's organized shield wall. It was a classic pincer movement, the double envelopment, a tactic used by Hannibal Barca at the Battle of Cannae. Jon's army was being crushed, suffocated, until the Knights of the Vale arrived. This highlights a timeless military principle: reinforcements win battles. Littlefinger's timing wasn't just dramatic, it was strategically perfect, hitting Ramsay's army in the rear when they were fully committed, shattering their formation and their morale in an instant. Now, let's sail to King's Landing for the Battle of the Blackwater. This was a masterclass in siege defense and asymmetric warfare, orchestrated by the unlikeliest of commanders, Tyrion Lannister. Stannis Baratheon had the superior numbers, the larger fleet, and a single-minded determination. He was utterly confident, and that was his first mistake. He expected a straightforward assault. Tyrion, on the other hand, knew he couldn't win a conventional fight. So, he changed the rules. He used the city's terrain to his advantage, but his true genius was recognizing the power of a new weapon: wildfire. That single, unmanned ship filled with the substance was a Trojan horse of pure destruction. It wasn't just about destroying a few ships. It was about creating chaos, fear, and breaking the morale of Stannis' fleet. The Green Inferno turned the bay into a death trap, nullifying Stannis' naval superiority in one terrifying moment. While Stannis was a skilled commander, he suffered from a critical intelligence failure. He underestimated his opponent and the defensive capabilities of the city. Tyrion's use of the chains to trap the fleet further demonstrates the importance of logistics and understanding the battlefield. And when Stannis' men did make it to the walls, Tyrion was there, leading a desperate sortie through a side gate, reminding us that sometimes a commander's personal courage can turn the tide. Of course, just like at the Battle of the Bastards, the battle was ultimately won by reinforcements when Tywin Lannister's army arrived. Two major battles, both decided by a last-minute cavalry charge. It seems the Lannisters and Littlefinger both understood the value of good timing. But what happens when you face an enemy that doesn't feel fear, doesn't need supplies, and can raise your fallen soldiers to fight against you? Welcome to the Long Night, a strategic nightmare against the army of the dead. This battle is a textbook example of how not asterisk, to fight an unconventional enemy. The entire defensive plan for Winterfell was flawed from the start. Let's talk about the Dothraki charge. Sending your light cavalry, your glass cannon, into an unseen enemy across an open field in the dead of night is not a strategy. It's a sacrifice. It was a visually stunning moment, watching their flaming erics extinguish one by one. But it was a catastrophic tactical error. They accomplished nothing and gave the Night King tens of thousands of fresh troops. The defenders then repeated this mistake. placing their unsullied infantry and trebuchets outside the castle walls and trenches. Your fortifications are your greatest advantage in a siege. You're supposed to fight from behind them, not in front of them. The plan to use Bran as bait to lure the Night King was the only coherent piece of strategy they had, but the execution was terrible. They failed to adequately protect him, and the entire battle became a chaotic scramble for survival rather than an organized defense. The core lesson here is profound. You must adapt your strategy to the specific strengths and weaknesses of your enemy. The living tried to fight a war of attrition against an enemy with infinite reinforcements. They used conventional tactics against a supernatural force, and it almost cost them everything. It wasn't strategy that won the day, but a single, desperate dagger thrust from Arya Stark. So, what can we learn from these epic clashes? The battles in Game of Thrones, despite their fantasy setting, reflect timeless principles of real-world warfare. We see the importance of maneuver and deception in the Battle of the Whispering Wood, where Robb Stark lured and destroyed Jaime Lannister's army. We see the critical role of terrain and psychological warfare in the Battle of the Bastards. We see the power of innovation and logistics at the Blackwater. Above all, these battles show us that leadership and morale are the ultimate force multipliers. A good commander can inspire soldiers to hold a crumbling wall, while a bad one can lead the world's finest army to ruin. The strategies of Westeros serve as a brutal, bloody, but brilliant reminder that on the battlefield, the mind is the most powerful weapon of all. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Till next time, Valor Morgulis.